Chapter 26, Munch Barn on Chokecherry U. The Munch barn sat on the banks of Lake Sakakawea at the edge of campus. It was a refurbished barn painted midnight black on the exterior, with wide pane windows along the sides. Dark hardwood floors lined the inside, with modern wood beam rafters that held barn lights above intimate tables for two. The tables were set with wine glasses and silverware rolled into cloth napkins. It smelled of wood-fire pizza, and a sign advertised lunch, dinner, and weekend brunch. The hostess confirmed his reservation and showed him to a table with a view of the lake. Casey fiddled with the menu even though he committed everything to memory the night before. He ordered drinks and checked his phone. Piper confirmed she had just parked and would arrive in a few minutes. He turned his camera on and flipped the view so he could see himself. Checked his hair, teeth, and adjusted the collar on his untucked dress shirt his mother had sent him for his birthday. The restaurant was 3/4 full with guests waiting to be seated. People chattered as bartenders filled glasses. You got this, Casey thought. Just play it cool at dinner and see where the night leads. Piper arrived as the server brought the drinks. A few guys in the restaurant turned their heads but looked away when their dates noticed Piper. Casey stood and greeted her with a hug. Sheesh, you look snatched. Her curls brushed the edge of his cheek. Thanks, and sorry about the wait. I like your shirt. Thanks, Mom. Casey pulled out her chair. No problem, I just got here a few minutes ago myself. The server delivered their drinks. I'll give you some time to look over the menu. Thanks, Casey said. Piper was wearing a college crewneck gray sweatshirt with Chokecherry U in red letters. Girls at Temple wore similar sweatshirts for La Colombe Coffee in Fishtown on Sunday mornings, but Piper made it look even better on a Friday night. She sipped her drink. Cranberry juice, huh? Casey froze. I'm gonna kill Truckee. Sorry, I can order you something else. Let me call the server. Oh no, it's okay. After Jack and Coke, my second favorite drink is vodka cranberry. I'm planning on driving to my parents' place on the edge of town tonight, so as long as there isn't any vodka in this, I'm good. My dad is strict about that. 2 virgin vodka crans. Casey lifted his glass and took a sip. She smiled and they played tag with their eyes, seeing who could hold the gaze the longest. Piper's eyes drifted outside. I love this view of the lake. Casey pumped a hidden fist under the table. It was a great recommendation, thanks for the tip. Food smells amazing. Beautiful lake too, especially with the setting sun. He felt like he was rambling. So, how was Teddy North today? You thinking about a permanent career in the park service after you graduate? Work was slow. I thought the park ranger position would be more glamorous. Guess that's why you do internships, to see what you like before you commit. How's Knife River? It's been a wild week, and I'm supposed to give this big briefing to a group of U.S. senators tomorrow morning, but to be honest, Casey hesitated. How personal are you going to get into this early into dinner? Piper blinked her eyes at him. To be honest? Oh, sorry. I mean, it's a huge briefing, but I sort of grew up in the National Park Service. My father was a career park ranger, and I read Director Clay's bio this afternoon. Piper narrowed her eyes in a playful way. Could have mentioned that sooner. Casey tugged at his ear. My bad. I didn't want you to think I was name dropping. It's cool. I get it. My father is in the senior ranks of Chokecherry Police, so I understand. She lowered her voice to bass like she was imitating someone. Commander Banks of CPD. A cop's kid, too, Casey smiled. They say we're as bad as preacher's children. I had my fair share of trouble growing up, but never needed my father to bail me out of jail. Piper took another sip of her juice. The server returned and asked if they were ready to order. Without looking at the menu, Piper ordered the apple pecan chicken salad. And for you? The server asked. Casey had planned to ask Piper if she wanted to share a meat lover's pizza, but felt like a fool ordering one for himself. His eyes scrambled the page, but everything looked blurry. He recalled his backup order being something listed as world-famous Munch Barn tater tot hot dish, but the menu said to allow extra time and the lecture was in 1 hour. Sweat formed on the back of his neck. The salad sounds good. I'll have the same with extra croutons, please. The server took the menu and disappeared. Casey imagined his stomach making loud gurgling noises during the lecture after eating rabbit food for dinner. I looked at all 6 park ranger law enforcement training programs, she said. Thought about going to the closest college offering the trainer over in Ely, Minnesota. How was the program at Temple? I almost applied for that one at Minnesota North College. My brother was a ranger up at Voyagers and I wanted to be close to him. I ended up choosing Temple because the rest of my family was already in the Philly region. Turned out to be a great program even though I'm not using any of the skills I learned. I heard about your brother, too. Piper bit her lower lip. My boss at Teddy North told me about your father and brother when I told her about our date this morning. I wasn't going to say anything, but needed an excuse to leave early and decided the truth was best. She filled me in on the Rangers and the Clay family, and I'm really sorry about your loss. Thanks, it's been a tough year. Casey straightened the silverware on his cloth napkin. Tell me more about you. You're the daughter of a CPD officer, but what's the rest of your story? Any siblings? An only child born and raised in Chokecherry. My mother is a high-profile city prosecutor prosecutor, which is where she met my father. She saw her career take a dip when she had me and decided one was enough. That sucks. It's okay, they spoil me rotten. First grandchild on both my parents' sides, so I felt the love growing up. Wanted to follow my father's footsteps, and I'm 2 semesters away from finishing my criminal justice degree. I'm just not sold on CPD. Why is that? Casey fiddled with his napkin. I really like law enforcement. Piper scratched at the table. But hearing all the CPD politics from my dad turned me off. I want to help stop crime and corruption in this city, make my community a better place. And I want to do it in law enforcement, but maybe venturing down a different path. I'm learning that path isn't the Park Service. What type of work do you like to do? I feel most natural digging into people online, like cybersecurity type stuff, so maybe I'll look at a federal position with the FBI one day. Casey thought about Gunner's GPS device and the license plates. I wonder if Piper could do something with them. You'll have to talk to my teenage sister. She's a wannabe hacker in training. She was going on about this hacker suspected of living in North Dakota that goes by the name Dunkaroo. I've definitely heard of Dunkaroo. No one knows her identity, but she's hacked into all the Chokecherry government databases, including CPD. They put my dad on a special task force to go after her, but they came up empty. That's wild. Casey softened his voice. You know, I can relate to where you're at in life. Sort of at a crossroads myself. How so? Casey shrugged. I've been pursuing this park ranger career for what seems like my whole life, but my heart's not in it. Knife River is just a temp position I was hoping would help get me into FLETC, but I'm not sure what'll happen now. The server brought their salads and Casey was thankful the plates were twice the normal size. Do you need anything else? Casey cleared his throat. Could we have a basket of hard rolls and butter, please? Coming right up, the server said. Bon appetit. Piper stabbed the center of her lettuce pile with her fork. Casey mimicked her fork movements. Salads were an extra light rotation in his diet. What are you going to do next? Piper asked. What about the Billy Geronimo internship? He moved lettuce around his plate. Weird thing about that, I sent him my resume and he offered me a full-time position doing security in his oil division, but then just rescinded the offer this afternoon. Any idea why? No clue, and at this point, if you want to skip his lecture, we can. I'm up for whatever, but I'm curious about why he would rescind it. I almost want to go to the lecture to see if we can figure out why. I kind of do too, now that you mention it. Something about the whole thing just doesn't sit right. Casey's mind went to Hondo's dojo and imagining Gunner was the heavy bag he was striking with his clubs. There's this other thing I'm considering, but you can't make fun of me. What is it? Have you heard or seen any of the help wanted ads for fugitive recovery agent positions at Outlaw Hunters? Who hasn't? It's all over the radio and on signs littered around campus. You thinking about applying? Her eyebrows raised. It seemed like her eyelashes could reach out and touch him across the table. Sort of skipped that step. I met with the owner of Outlaw Hunters and I have my gear and first bail piece for a skip I've been following around. No way! Piper dropped her fork. That's awesome. Are you getting any traction? A little. I think I found where he lives. It's behind a guarded community gate in Riverdale Estates, so I didn't get an address. And I can help with that. Piper took out her phone. It's funny you mentioned the bounty hunter gig because I've been considering a similar but less physical opportunity. What's that? Working in the law enforcement industry as a private investigator. There's a firm called Swift Fox Investigations next to CPD in the municipal quarter that is accepting applications. They're kind of like the Pinkerton Detective Agency out of Michigan. I'm thinking about applying for an internship during my last semester of school. You should, especially if you're good with cyber stalking. I thought about that profession as well, but with my build, I think I'd do well in fugitive recovery. I think so too. What aspects of PI work are you interested in? I've always been super curious and love piecing things together like a puzzle. The thought of taking a little golden nugget of information and turning it into something that cracks open a case or solves a mystery is appealing to me. Piper turned her phone toward him. She opened Google Maps and zoomed in on the entrance to Riverdale Estates. Do you know which house he went to? Let me check. Casey reached for her phone and touched her hand. Feeling her skin made his pulse race. He lingered for a moment and pulled the phone close. It was the 5th house on the right. Here it is. Casey put a marker on the map and handed it back to her. What are you going to do? Stand by. Piper typed away at her screen. When I researched the private investigator career, I found some databases like the ones my father has access to at CPD. I'm doing a free trial on one and wanted to search on someone other than friends, families, and old boy. Her voice trailed off. Here it is. She handed her phone back. What's this? Casey saw an entry on the screen. Property records. I ran the address and it came up with someone named Lancer Bass. That's him. It says he bought it last year and paid cash. No mortgage. Worth close to $2 million. He gazed up at her and felt like he could bask in the glow of her radiant eyes for the rest of the night. Did you notice the latest entry? Casey glanced down the page. Pending sale. Whoa, he's getting out. Yep, it's going through the closing process, so it's still in his name, but he's definitely on the way out. This tracks with what my sister found. Gunnar has a flight out of Chokecherry Saturday morning. Time's dwindling. Piper ran a hand through her hair. You need any help? Well, only if you have time, but yeah. Casey held his phone up. I have license plate numbers for 2 vehicles. One is Gunnar's truck, but might be registered to a company called Rebel Resources LLC. The other belongs to someone who I believe works at North Dakota's Oil and Gas in Bismarck. Oh, you have been busy. Yeah, I'll send these to you, and anything you can find on Gunnar, Rebel Resources, or this other guy would be great. This is perfect because one database I'm trying out has vehicle data. Anything else you can think of? Well, how are you with figuring out GPS waypoints? Are you kidding me? I'm a Google Earth Pro user. I have Gunnar's GPS and it has a bunch of waypoints on it all over North Dakota. Count me in on that. I can pull the points into Google Earth and export them into a searchable KML that we can use to analyze them in other programs. You lost me at KML. Casey laughed. Looks like we make a good team. You find the criminals online and I put restraints on them in person. Piper winked. I'm just hanging at my parents' place tomorrow so I can dig into this and maybe we can link up sometime tomorrow afternoon. That would be great. But hey, the lecture starts in 5 minutes. You want to split the check? Of course not. It's on me. I have a job. I can pay my way. I know what summer interns at NPS make. If you insist, I'll let you pay for dessert after the lecture. You have dessert planned? I'm impressed. Count me in.